Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today, in our tour through the Tier 4 guides and ships, we're looking at this thing. And if you don't know what that is the Izyaslav, I think, the Tier 4 Soviet destroyer. Now, if you've decided, started the game and you decided you like destroyers, you want to play destroyers, you started down the Soviet line, you've realized relatively quickly that these things are in one extreme of the spectrum. The Japanese destroyers have relatively long torpedo ranges, the American destroyers are relatively versatile, and the Soviet destroyers are having absolutely disastrous torpedoes, but they have very, very good guns. So, let's take a look at this ship, and we'll talk a bit about the setup, and then we'll play some games, and I'll just kind of talk about what's in store, how to play this thing, and so on. So, the Izyaslav, Tier 4 destroyer, has about 10,000 hit points, which is relatively sturdy for a Tier 4. Destroyers don't have much in terms of armor. She is very fast. You will find that Soviet destroyers are really speedy. She does almost 38 knots, and she's got a turn time of 2.7 seconds, which is great. So she's very fast and very maneuverable. The guns. She only has 102mm guns, but they are pretty good 102mm guns. She's got 5 of them. They only have a 5-second reload time, and they do almost 300 points of damage with the high explosive. So while they're a very, very small caliber, they actually do a decent amount and they fire pretty rapidly. The turret traverse speed with 12 degrees is not absolutely terrible. But then come the torpedoes. And the torpedoes are the thing you think of as the main weapon when you're talking about destroyers. She has 9 torpedoes, which is a fair amount, and you can fire them all on one side, which is good, because they are center mounted. So you can see that on the ship if you actually look at it. And you look at it from the top. Now you see 1, 2, 3 torpedo tubes, and they're mounted such that they can point at each side of the ship, so they can rotate all the way around and point at the other side. Well, not quite like this with the Izyaslav, but we'll get to that. So we've got 9 torpedoes. They're only 450mm, so they don't do much damage. Only 2,000 points, but again, we're in Tier 4. And they reload in 30 seconds, so that's pretty good. The range of 3.9 kilometers is very, very short. So you have to get real close to things to use the Izyaslav, which of course subjects you to defensive fire from your enemies, making this thing a little bit harder to play than something like a Japanese destroyer that can shoot from much larger ranges. In return, if you get very close, actually hitting with your torpedoes is a lot easier. So that's the thing. The torpedo tube traverse is not great with 19 degrees a second. The bigger problem is that the tubes can't traverse around the front side of the ship. And I'll show you what I mean in a little bit. But it means it can take quite a while, because the tubes actually have to go all the way around the rear of the ship to get to the other side. So, that aside, surface detection of 5.5 kilometers is very good. And the small caliber AA is, forget about anti-air on Tier 4 ships. There isn't much of it. I've got her fully upgraded, so the elite ship bonus, I've gone with the destroyer modernization, and the reason is that gives me 7% torpedo tube traverse speed because of what I mentioned, plus it gives me a bit more speed, and it gives me a little bit more hit points. The advanced radar system, would have been okay, but you'd have to have a different module set up then. So, taking that in mind, let's have a quick look at the details and see what ship skills she has. She has the engine accelerator. So she's got 2 consumables that give you even more of a speed boost. That's good to have. In terms of equipment, I actually have equipped her currently with the main battery modification and not with the torpedo tube modification. That would have totally been valid as well, by the way. But I currently have this one in just because I like the guns on this ship. And when I'm maneuvering a lot, I like the guns to come around as quickly as possible so I can keep using them. You don't need the rapid reload on 5-second reload because it only gives you 5% So that'd be less than half a second. So no real point in that. I've got the propulsion mod to get a better acceleration. And this is the thing that you would have otherwise with the other elite bonus, but I decided to go with the first one, and I got the propulsion mod instead. And I have the other propulsion mod here to go for the speed. So this is a pure speed setup that I've got here, speed and acceleration, because she already has a very good turn time. And yeah, I like this ship to be fast. It is one of its strengths. Because if the torpedoes have a very short range, and you need to get close, you want to get close as quickly as you can, and you want to get not close as quickly as you can as well, because if you can't shoot from far ranges and you need to get close, you will get shot at. So people will shoot at you. In terms of supplies, I realized Tier 4 doesn't necessarily have to have supplies. If you decide not to, then, well, don't, because it does cost a lot. It does cost an amount of money, and if you're very early in the game, you might not have it. You need it for progressing through the tech tree. If you decide that you do want, because you have enough, or you've just been playing a bit, and you kind of play the ship quite a bit, then I go with surface detection because I'm in a destroyer. I go with the reload time, and I go with even more ship speed. The maintenance pack for hit points would be valid as well, although 3% of 10,000 isn't all that much. But still, it would be valid. I don't have a commander here in the ship because the commander has been moving on. So let's have a quick look at the Minsk, which is my Tier 7, because that would be the commander and how who's been passing along the tech tree so far. So I've got the underwater protection in the first slot. I've got the torpedo alert in the second. I've got preheating, so at the beginning of the match you get off the start quicker and get into position quicker. I've got the victorious charge to recover a little bit of hit points. I'm actually running Daredevil because I'm in Soviet destroyers, means I get close, means I get shot at a lot, which means I often have to operate on low hit points late in the battle, and that helps dodging and just maneuvering around in general. And I've got the generalist here for improved damage control so far. But we're playing the Izyaslav. So if you play, again, you might, Tier 4, you might not want or be able to afford a camo. If you want to get a camouflage, just get the Seaborne Assault one, because 12,500 might be too much money. But if you're planning like 6 hours, a couple of hours of intensive playing, it's worth doing this. It gives you a bit more hit points, and it even improves the surface detection even more. I'm not going to go with it for now, because it's still very early in the game. So that's the Izyaslav, and we'll try out how she plays, and I'll give you a couple more hints and just kind of show you how I'm playing it and what I think the strengths and weaknesses of this thing are. Okay, we're bottom tier, and we've got 1 battleship, 2 cruisers, and 3 destroyers. Well, 2 destroyers. The Matsuki's a bot. But there's some good players on the other side, so let's see what we can do here. Golden Channel, so we're going to have to go and capture the center, but we don't want to rush too far ahead and get shot at by everybody. So we'll just veer off to the side and see what we can do from there. Okay, well, first of all, we get into the cap. Now, if you look at the torpedoes, you see they don't turn around the front. They have to go all the way around the rear side to get to the other side. So you kind of have to make up your mind relatively early which way you want to be going. Otherwise, you've got your torpedoes and your guns on the wrong side, and then it takes way too long to turn them around. It's much easier to turn the ship around than to turn the guns and the torpedoes around. So just keep them where they are. Okay, so we're in the cap. There are 3 destroyers. So we're just gonna see where they're going. Okay, one of them is in the cap. You see that because I'm not capturing. So there's one of them in the cap here as well. So we'll just slow down a little bit. Now there's 2 of them in the cap, or 3. They're probably all in the cap at this point. And there's a cruiser, of course there is. So let's kind of see. There's the Emerald. There's the Mutsuki, that's the bot destroyer. Not sure what that Furutaka is shooting at. But Let's see what we can do here. Okay. We're probably going to have to do something about that emerald, because that is a dangerous ship. So, is he slowing down? He's slowing down. Torpedoes out. And that should be the end of the emerald. No, not quite. Oh, we've overshot a little bit. But he's dead. Okay, that's number one. German destroyer over there. 2 of them, so we're just going to use our guns while the torpedoes are reloading. And try as much as possible not to run into these German torpedoes. Oh, that's one, okay. It's good always to not be fully fully zoomed in all the time, because if you focus on one ship too much, then you will miss when the torpedoes are coming out. So we're just going to use our guns here and see that we can clean up these destroyers. Okay, there he is. That one's down. And the next one as well. And then we can go after the carrier. So these guns are really rapid firing. Actually, there's a battleship still there that we need to take care of. These guns are really rapid firing. And they really add up. So we'll just head straight for that battleship. Because again, we do need to get close to do something about him. And since we're here, we'll just start firing on him. See, even though you don't do much damage, you can actually set fires to things relatively easily because of the high rate of fire. So now we're going to use our speed boost. So we want to get closer to that battleship. Now we've got another fire going, so he's going to keep burning. And we're just going to leisurely pass by the side and just send some torpedoes his way. There we go. That's all the torpedoes, and both the fires and the flooding are permanent because he already controlled the other fire. So he's dead. Now that just leaves the carrier. You see, I passed around the side that does not have, where he didn't have the guns pointed. Because if I pass right in front of his guns, he can just, well, shoot me. So knowing which way a ship is shooting and kind of just outflanking him and going around the other side is a good thing to do. Now that just leaves the carrier, and the carrier is almost certainly going to be dead before we get even in torpedo range. So let's see if we can sneak that kill. No, someone else got him. Okay. So this is kind of how you play this ship. It's a gunboat. The torpedoes are there, but you can use them. Don't just try to hit things with torpedoes. Just keep using your guns. We'll have a look on how much damage we did with what. But we did 13,000 points of damage with our main guns, and we did 22,000 with the torpedoes. So yes, we did do a lot of torpedo damage because we got a good shot off at the battleship, and we got some hits on the Emerald in the beginning, but we did a lot of damage with our guns. So Gunboats Destroyers is what these things are called for a reason. The guns, even though they don't have a high caliber, are really, really nice and rapid firing. So kind of try to use these as your primary weapon, and the torpedoes when the situation arises and you're close to things. Let's play another round, and just kind of maybe have a different situation, and we'll see. Okay, lots of bots now. Getting late in the day. We're top tier, battleship. And there are 2 enemy destroyers that we kind of have to worry about. So let's go for A, because we're quick, and then take it from there. So we're very fast, so we can maneuver around quite as necessary. So again, we'll just I'm expecting the way I'm heading towards A. I'm expecting ships to show up on my right because that's where the enemy is coming from. So that's where I'm going to put my guns, and that's where I'm going to put my torpedoes. which, as you have seen, takes a while for them to swing around and come around to the other side. Yep, I'm on it. But I'm just staying on my guns because these are my primary weapons really on this ship. And the torpedoes are really more situational. If you're just on the torpedoes and trying to line up the torpedoes, you're not firing your guns, and then you're wasting the potential of this ship really. So ships will come on here between these islands, and there is the wicks. So I get some torpedoes out in a minute. We'll see where he heads, but he seems to be. Yeah. We're gonna dodge his torpedoes first. Where is he going? There's some scattered shots while he comes around. So he has a torpedo soup to deal with. And there we go, that one's dead. So next up, that's the St. Louis over there. So let's see if we can set him on fire. First we gotta navigate this thing here. There's another Wix. But that's a bot, so they're not really dangerous. Just don't want to give broadside to the St. Louis while we're dealing with this guy here. So, it's 2 torpedo spreads, that should do the trick. Okay, he's dead. And the other spread goes not towards the St. Louis, because the St. Louis is turning around. Now it goes towards the St. Louis, and we kind of need to get out of here because we've got a St. Louis pointing at us. And there you see bots are very good at dodging torpedoes. Like at that distance even, it's hard to hit him. But we almost got reloaded. So let's see if he dodges those. And we need to get out of here a little bit because we're losing a lot of health. But we got 2 torpedo hits still. Let's see if we can cause some fires on these battleships. And send some more torpedoes out. So the battleships are currently firing at our other destroyer. So we're just gonna set some fires, and these fires will keep burning. Because their bots stayed on damage control. And we got some more torpedo hits in. How's the general situation looking like? Pretty good. We've killed almost everything. And let's just get the ship around and give our folks here a bit of support. Because he is almost dead. Yep, which means that I'm now going to be the focus of these battleships. Which means I want to get my torpedoes out, and then I want to disappear from here for now. Get some distance open, because these battleships can do a really lot of damage to me and I don't have much health left. I need that heal up. But first we get the torpedo in, heals up. And this leaves this one battleship. Okay. Yeah, so make sure you maneuver a lot and use the mobility. You see how fast this thing's turning around, right? She's really maneuverable, and if you maneuver, it's hard. It's harder for them to hit you. So yeah, do that. Use your guns wisely. Play with your speed. Don't stay focused. You know, in zoom view, it's very tempting to do that. Just stay zoomed in, but. Okay, in this case there's only one battleship left, so I don't really need to worry about it. Let's fire our guns, announce our presence. Gives us the Confederate. And I'm not sure if he or she is paying any attention. So we're gonna reverse. Drop torpedoes. Yes, they are paying attention. So let's reverse out of here and point the least amount of ship towards the enemy. So the torpedo hits, unfortunately no flooding. And we just want to kind of get out of here and not be killed by these main batteries. We almost have torpedoes back up. We hit the enemy. Now we just need to survive a second longer to get the torpedoes back up. No! That was close. I almost had torpedoes back up. But still, I think we've done our part here. And hopefully the team has it from here. It's only 30 seconds left to go. Although the team entirely consists of bots, that's unfortunate. But we've got 2 of the caps. We've got so unless they kill both in 15 seconds, which they're not gonna. This is a Kawaichi with full health. Okay, almost had a second torpedo run. But yeah, still pretty good game, even though it was mostly bots. But you see what I mean, right? She's difficult to play. I'll give you that. Use your guns. Try to avoid being shot as much as you can. Maneuver around. Play with your speed. And get yourself into positions where you can drop the torpedoes from short range. Tier 4 is still a tier where you can kind of do this. People are not always paying attention to what's going on. So you can still get this kind of games, and you can get this kind of things done. So I mean, we've done 27 torpedo hits with this thing. You can, right? And even though they don't do much damage, it'll all add up. And in the end, we died, deservedly so, but it was a good game, and I think she's a fun ship. I'm enjoying the Russian or the Soviet destroyer line, especially in the early tiers. In the later tiers, it gets really, really difficult, because if you're playing at, let's say, where am I currently? With the Minsk. I'm playing at the Minsk. The Minsk has a torpedo range of 4.5 kilometers. Right. So yes, you have extremely good guns, but your torpedoes are still just an afterthought. And people are much, much better at dodging torpedoes at these tiers. So I'd say play up the Soviet destroyer line, at least up tier 5 or 6. It's huge amounts of fun. And if you don't like it anymore after that, just don't fret about it and switch to maybe the American destroyers, because they are also somewhat gunboats, or the German destroyers, but they have much better torpedo ranges at higher tiers, whereas the Soviet destroyers really, really struggle with torpedoes at these tiers. But yeah, that was the Izyaslav, the tier 4 Soviet destroyer. I hope you have a bit of an idea about how to play this thing if you decide to go up the Soviet destroyer tech tree. And I'll see you next time for another ship in Tips and Tricks for Tier 4. Bye-bye. That's it for today. Have a good one.